I don't think this is hyperbolic. And look, I am newer here. I'm not really new anymore. I've been here for a while. But I'm newer here than obviously you two. I think I'd have to say, though, given the stakes of where this team is and what they've faced moving forward, to make sure you maximize this championship window with this generational all-time player still in his prime. God, was this a huge offseason. And it was one that we kind of convinced ourselves, I certainly did, that, you know what, maybe it's just not going to involve some big moves. I think given the circumstance surrounding what they faced and how big this offseason was for the future of this team, it's the greatest offseason the Nuggets have ever had. 48 hours?
It depends on how you define a great offseason. I mean, when you draft Nikola Jokic, it was unknowingly the greatest offseason. They didn't know at the time.
Sure.
Right.
But in terms of getting work done, that is known quantity work, like known commodities. These players, you know what they are, you know what they can do. It was the greatest 24-hour period I can recall from the Denver Nuggets because they put in work. You know what? It reminds me a lot of the offseason of 2022 before the championship season, when it was around this time, around 4th of July week, they went to work. They got Bruce Brown. They got KCP. They made a couple trades. They were wheeling and dealing. They got rid of Will Barton. Monte Morris had to go, unfortunately. They brought in some players that you said to yourself at the time, oh, these guys are going to help right away. Well, I'm saying the same thing here, guys. They have transformed this roster. If you put this roster, currently constituted, right now, currently constructed, you put this roster on the floor to take on OKC a month ago, the Nuggets are in the NBA Finals.
Very well could be, Vic. When you look at the public reaction, it's not just us glossing on the Denver Nuggets and, oh, they did this and they did that. Have we heard, by the way, have we heard from Michael Porter Jr. yet?
Not yet.
Because you know what, he's going to be missed big time. I mean, he really is.
Well, I closed the 6 o'clock hour. Somebody asked about that. Have we heard anything from him? And I go, not that I've seen. I'm sure when we will hear from him, it will be a gracious thing he says about Denver.
I certainly hope so. He'll forever have a spot in my heart. I mean, hell, we wrote a hit song about him, for crying out loud, and performed it.
Yeah.
Not live, no live performance. But, Vic, this is just, it's, when you look at the public reaction, everybody is all over it. They should be. I mean, I haven't heard anything from anybody where it's like, whoa, what are they doing type of thing. I think people realize that.
Or they are saying that in a positive way.
Yeah.
Like, whoa.
Whoa, what are they doing? But if things had gotten stale a little, they're like, okay, they're serious and they're back. That's what it is.
You know how I know? I got people who claim they're not NBA fans. They don't follow the NBA. They're closet NBA fans or whatnot. I've got people telling me, hey, whoa, what are the Nuggets up to? You know, this is catching people's attention here. People are talking about this. The Nuggets, I mean, if you look at what the NBA's done over the last week, the Rockets have probably been the most active. I mean, I'm looking at the Rockets roster, by the way, and everybody's head over heels in love with the Rockets right now. They've got 3 guards on their team. Everybody else is a big, it seems, or forward. 3 guards. I don't know how the hell they're going to dribble the ball, but whatever. The news that happened in Milwaukee, that's big. But after all that, guys, what the Nuggets have done quietly, and I say quietly because it's a little more under the radar. These aren't superstars. Cam Johnson's a role player. Valanciunas is obviously a backup. Tim Hardaway Jr. is a backup. Bruce Brown, same deal. These aren't major players in the NBA. But this team didn't need major players. It needed major depth.
That's exactly right.
Can I say something about that? I am always a little bit skeptical of teams that, quote, win the offseason. You know, I go back to, it's why I'm a little bit skeptical about Pittsburgh right now in the NFL. Got a whole bunch of good players. Throwing a whole bunch of star contracts together and hoping it works is really difficult. Like, it's just hard. You can go back. Do you guys remember the year? It was the tail end of Andy Reid's tenure in Philly, where they put together that super team that won off season, where they signed like Nnamdi Asomugha and Vince Young and Mike Vick and a whole bunch of these different guys.
Do you remember that?
And the team stunk because it's not how you build a team. You build a team by drafting and developing players, and then you build around it. That's my favorite part of this. The core of this team, I'll give you a clip, by the way. This was, I think, was it last week, Nelly? Was it Friday? John Wallace was on with PhD and Ben Tenzer. John Wallace was asked, are you going to keep the core together?
Look, at this point, we really like those guys. We know what they can do, and they've won a championship before. So to answer your question, yes, we want to run that right now with those guys. Now, I can't speak to the future. I don't know what that holds, but, we have a great core group, and we have trust in those individuals.
I think that they saw the core group as Jokic, Murray, AG, and Christian Brown. I think that's what they saw as the core group to build around. And here's what the offseason was, and this is what's different than any other year under Nikola Jokic. Every year you have entered the following season saying, I hope Peyton Watson can make a jump. I hope Julian Strawther can get better. I hope that Zeke Naji is an actual player next year. I hope that Russell Westbrook fits.
We were hoping that Deron Holmes gets healthy and can actually play.
This is the offseason of I know. I know what Jonas Valanciunas is as a backup big.
Mm-hmm.
I know what Tim Hardaway Jr. has been his entire career. I know what Bruce Brown brought to the table 2 years ago. Like, that's what's different. There is no, I wonder what's going to – no, these guys all averaged, by the way, over 10 points a game last year. All of them. All of them did. I think Bruce Brown was the only exception. He was at 9, but he averaged, I think, 11.5 when he was here 2 years ago.
Guys, the moves that have been made in the last 24 hours, I was thinking, I'm looking at the roster, and there's one more spot available, by the way. One more roster spot left. And I don't know if the Nuggets are going to actively pursue it now or wait. I have a lot of things I want to get to about what they did yesterday, but first I want to say this, because waiting for this last roster spot might be in their best interest, and I'll explain why. But what happened in the last 24 hours is it took a lot of players on this roster, several depth players, who expected to play, and now they're going to have to work their butts off to get even a minute of playing time. Do you understand? Do you know what this does now to a Julian Strawther and a Peyton Watson? When these guys, a month ago, these guys were expected to play. Now, where are they going to play? You tell me. Where are they going to play unless they play out of their minds and steal minutes from some of these other guys who are proven players?
I put this side by side. So your depth group, when you won a championship, was Bruce Brown, Christian Brown, and a little bit of Jeff Green. That was your bench players. The following year, Bruce Brown leaves. And that becomes, I just had this, Christian Brown. Can you guys name the other bench players that postseason that played in the playoffs?
Yeah, Christian Brown. You mean talking about the championship year?
Nope. The year afterwards when they lost to Minnesota.
The year after, Peyton Watson played a little bit.
A little bit.
Not a ton, a little bit.
But he played a little bit. Christian Brown certainly played a lot.
The people off the bench that played in Game 7 against the T-Wolves?
Not many.
It was Christian Brown. It was Justin Holiday.
Oh, yeah.
And it was Reggie Jackson.
Yeah, Reg. Yep.
This last season, we know what the bench looked like. It was Russell Westbrook and kind of Peyton Watson, and that was kind of it. Now, here's what it looks like. It's Bruce Brown. It's Tim Hardaway Jr. It's Peyton Watson. It's hopefully Deron Holmes. It's Jonas Valanciunas. It's Strawther if he can find a way to carve out some minutes. Mm-hmm. Your Zekes and Pickett's, if they really work in the offseason, maybe they the guys that we thought were key parts that we were hoping could make a jump this year. Now, all of a sudden, as you said, Vic, have to fight and claw for every minute on the floor.
And that's the way it should be. It's a referendum. It's an announcement to these younger players. Hey, you better step up your game if you want to play. If Julian Strawther wants to play next year, he's going to have to outplay Tim Hardaway Jr. to get on the court. That's his direct competition.
That's only a positive, a net positive.
I agree. I'm not looking at it as it is a challenge. It's a challenge. Because, listen, Tim Hardaway Jr. signed a vet minimum deal. If at some point they believe Julian Strawther gives them a better option, they'll go to Julian Strawther.
Sure.
I think that's we can do this in more detail later, but I think their hope is Strawther makes the jump and he takes the spot, and Hardaway's insurance to Strawther if he doesn't.
Well, the best way to make a jump, and that's why I believe in the art of competition. This goes back to my field day rant. I mean, it's amazing how everything comes back to field day. And I apologize to all you people who've heard this time and time again. When we eliminate competition from life, when we take competition out of it, you get a lot of guys who subconsciously become, I'm not going to say lazy, but entitled. When you reintroduce competition to life, this is what you get. You better work or you ain't going to play. And I love it.
What's interesting about the guys that are supposedly going to be backups now, and they will be. I'm sure they'll get spot starts and whatnot. It's a long season. But, I mean, Tim Hardaway Jr. played 28 minutes a game.
Yeah. Hardaway he's an interesting case.
Bruce Brown played, in the mid-20s per game. Valanciunas was almost a 20-minute game per game kind of guy at times. All these guys have played, and they're going to be itching to come off the bench, and it's going to be very interesting, man. These are all players.
This much I know about the guys they acquired yesterday. Jonas Valanciunas is going to give you 10 and 7 off the bench, which is already, if you said give me 10 and 7 off the bench, that will be the most capable center backup to Nikola Jokic in his career. And I'm not going to count the Boogie Cousins 90-day experiment. He will be, and also Jonas Valanciunas has missed He's missed 2 games in 2 seasons. He's durable, and he's big, and he's bad. So that's, cross that off your list. There's your backup center. It's done. Cam Johnson allowed them the flexibility to sign Valanciunas. Because here's one thing we need to understand. If they didn't get under that apron, they were not able to take back more money in a trade.
Yeah.
Well, in that trade, to unload Dario Saric, and how that happened is beyond me. How they found a team, ladies and gentlemen. Do you understand the biggest miracle in the world? The birth of Christ is one. The second is, how did you find a team to take Dario Saric's contract who played 16 games? How?